really painful. It doesn't give the same bliss. It doesn't give that same happiness. So that's why this first section where in the Ramayana, where Vishnu is established Supreme Personality of Godhead, is very important. And this, interestingly, this is one of the places where the Ramayana is pretty direct. It's pretty direct about Vishnu being Supreme Personality of Godhead and Rama being that Lord Vishnu. It's not indirect, yet these rascals have somehow twisted everything in a manner as if some Rama is some ordinary person and this is some fancy fairy tale or something like that. Okay, but as far as surrender goes, there are just a few sections where it can be seen that surrender is being emphasized. Otherwise, most of the places it's suggested. So, section 2 begins. We kind of read a little bit about it, but it's better to go over it again. By what means can the above mentioned supreme truth be attained? Anticipating this question, the sage Valmiki describes the process of surrender unto him in this Ramayana, thus elucidating the Vedic description of the process of surrender unto him. Now, I had sent this on the ashram com, so if anybody wants to look and read it off their phone, they can. So, this is a verse from Shvetashvatara Upanishad. This is something's wrong with my iPad today. Let's see. Maybe if I close other applications. Oh, there's so many open. It's crazy. Oh my God. How can you do that? You can do that in Android, but I've never seen that. What? Really? Oh. Okay. All right. Well, we'll see. I still suspect it'll crash. But okay. Yo brahmanam vidadati purvam yo vai vedamscha prahrunoti tasmai tam hadevam atma buddhi prakasham mumukshur vai sharanam aham prapadye. Because I desire liberation, let me surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who first enlightened Lord Brahma in Vedic knowledge through Lord Brahma's heart. The Lord is the original source of all enlightenment and spiritual advancement. And Prabhu writes that the translation is Srila Prabhupada's and occurs in Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 8.264 purport. Why is this quoted? Because everything that we practice and study, it has to be, the traditional Vaishnavas always somehow based it upon Shruti. And whatever we are following, everything can be based upon Shruti. Baladev Vidyabhushan did that by writing the Govinda Bhasya and explaining how the entire Krishna consciousness, the philosophy, is based on the Vedanta Sutra. The Vedanta Sutra is a summary or a condensation of the Upanishads. So the Upanishads, here the Shvetashvatara Upanishad, it speaks about surrender as being the means to attain Brahman, and therefore surrender is the way to attain him. This is a very important point. Indeed, from the beginning of the Ramayana to its end, Sri Valmiki presents surrender as the means to attain all sorts of benefits by illustrating the attainment of specific results by persons eligible for them by surrendering unto those who are capable of fulfilling those desires and who are compassionate upon such surrendered souls. So what are the 6 items of surrender? We saw this in the last class. To do whatever is pleasing to the object of the surrender, to avoid whatever is displeasing to the object of surrender, to have great faith that the object of surrender will protect the surrendered soul, that is, will grant the result desired by the surrendered soul and protect the surrendered soul from all obstacles to the fulfillment of their desire. 4. To beseech the object of surrender to protect him. 5. To submit oneself completely, that is, to give up the consideration of submitting to anyone else. And 6. To submit oneself helplessly, that is, to give up all other endeavors in this regard. This is what is technically referred to as Sharanagati or surrender. So, I want to elaborate a little bit on this. So, surrender means accepting things that are favorable to the object of surrender. Here the object of surrender is going to be Krishna. But you accept everything that's favorable to him. You reject everything that's unfavorable. And the third point is very interesting. To have great faith that the object of surrender will protect the surrendered soul. What does that protection mean? That protection includes fulfilling, granting the result desired by that surrendered soul. Surrender has no meaning if the result that is desired by the process of surrender is not achieved. It's a very important point. And we'll see. Now, ultimately, the devotee who actually desires to surrender to the Supreme Lord desires service to him. This is our principle, that Mama Janmani Janmani Ishware Bhavatat Bhaktir Ahaituki Tvai, that to practice unalloyed devotional service to Krishna is the desire of a devotee when he's performing surrender. But the process of surrender is such that whatever you desire, it will be awarded. This is a very important point to understand. And not only will the result be offered, but you will also be protected from all obstacles to the fulfillment of that desire. So, not only will your desire be fulfilled, you'll also be protected from everything that's obstructing you from fulfilling that desire. So, here, surrender is analyzed as a standalone thing and then connected with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because surrender as a concept is found in the Vedas. But Vaishnavas say that surrender has to be performed to Vishnu. And that's what the Ramayana says. And in many examples. And you will see so many examples of this in the Ramayana. And that's why it's very nice. And the other things are pretty straightforward. To beseech the object of surrender. Beseech meaning to ask, to beg, to pray, to implore. This is meaning to beseech. To submit oneself completely. Giving up the consideration, meaning that there is no consideration in one's head that anybody else will fulfill their desire. Anybody else is capable of protecting them. That also is lost. And 6, to submit oneself helplessly. That is to give up all other endeavors in that regard. So not only do you consider nobody else capable of helping you, you also consider that any of your other endeavors are also not capable of protecting you or fulfilling your desire. So the devotee, when surrendering, gives up notion of personal endeavor, personal ability. He doesn't think that by my ability, I will achieve the result. I will achieve, anything. He gives up that, and he also gives up the idea that anybody else can do it for him. He only accepts his one Lord and Master, and that's surrender. And in this case, that is Krishna, Vishnu, Lord Rama. Okay. So Vidwan Gauranga Prabhu comments, Lord Chaitanya quotes the following verse from the Vaishnava Tantra, Anukulyasya sankalpa pratikulyasya varjanam rakshishyati iti vishvaso goptartve varanam tata atmanikshepa karpanya shadvidha sharanagatihi. The six divisions of surrender are acceptance of those things favorable to devotional service, rejection of unfavorable things, the conviction that Krishna will give protection, acceptance of the Lord as one's guardian or master, full self-surrender, and humility. So, what we call as humility was previously described as, what is that? To submit oneself helplessly, that is to give up all other endeavors in this regard. This is called humility, meaning one actually accepts oneself to be completely incapable, completely unqualified. It's not by my endeavor, I have not qualified myself for surrender. I am surrendering unto you helplessly because I know I'm unqualified. Yet, I request you to protect you. This is the mood of surrender. That's why it's humble. It's humility. Okay. Srila Prabhupada has commented, one who is fully surrendered is qualified with the 6 following characteristics. The devotee has to accept everything that is favorable for rendering of transcendental devotional service to the Lord. He must reject everything unfavorable to the Lord's service. That is also called renunciation. So this is renunciation, rejecting everything that's unfavorable. And we're going to see more of this. A devotee must be firmly convinced that Krishna will give him protection. No one else can actually give one protection, and being firmly convinced of this is called faith. This kind of faith is different from the faith of an impersonalist who wants to merge into the Brahman effulgence in order to benefit by cessation of repeated birth and death. A devotee wants to remain always in the Lord's service. In this way, Krishna is merciful to his devotee and gives him all protection from dangers found on the path of devotional service. So this faith is different to the impersonalist. The devotee should accept Krishna as his supreme maintainer and master. He should not think that he is being protected by a demigod. He should depend only on Krishna, considering him the only only protector. The devotee must be firmly convinced that within the three worlds, he has no protector or maintainer other than Krishna. Self-surrender means remembering that one's activities and desires are not independent. The devotee is completely dependent on Krishna, and he acts and thinks as Krishna desires. 6. The devotee is meek and humble. Okay, moving on. The various aspects of the process of surrender are set out below with reference to the incidents described in the Ramayana. Second, let me pull up my notes. Okay. At the beginning, Sri Valmiki describes the Supreme Master and Lord of all as waiting for the opportunity to protect his surrendered devotees. As soon as the Devas meaning demigods, surrender unto him and beseech him to save them from the torments of Ravana, he became brilliant in satisfaction, thinking, I have now got the opportunity to protect those who have surrendered unto me, and appears with his weapons for protecting them, and stood amidst them, fully ready to reward them protection from any danger. This is stated as Etasmin Antare Vishnur Upayato Mahadyutihi Shanka Chakra Gadapanif Pitavasa Jagatpatihi. At this time, the greatly effulgent Lord of the universe, Lord Vishnu, bearing in his hands a conch, discus, and mace, dressed in yellow cloth, appeared. What do you gather from this? That when a devotee approaches the Supreme Lord to surrender, the Supreme Lord becomes very happy and exhibits that effulgence. He exhibits that what conditioned souls like to do, meaning they try to become brilliant and satisfied and say, okay, I will protect you. I'll take care of you. I'll do it. And what do you see in this? You see in this the Lord's real Purushatvam, his actual, real, transcendental masculinity, where the Supreme Lord thinks, here are my dependents, and they have come to me for surrender. I am the Supreme Lord, the master of everyone. I can protect them. I will offer them protection. In thinking this, he becomes brilliant and satisfied. This is very amazing. What does that mean? That means when a devotee approaches the Supreme Lord for surrender, the Lord becomes very satisfied. He becomes very satisfied. Because he is capable of fulfilling everything. He is capable of eradicating any problem that his dependents have. He is fully capable of awarding the fulfillment of all of one's desires. Nobody but him is fully capable of doing that. And if he desires to do so, nobody can stop him. So when the devotee approaches the Supreme Lord, being tormented in this material world, and approaches him for relief from that torment, approaches him for, in the right mood, of course, there's more to this. It's not that one just approaches the Supreme Lord for material desires. But rather, here, you can see that the Devas, they didn't approach independently. They approached through Lord Brahma. Brahma is one of the acharyas in this, in this universe. In fact, the foremost of all acharyas. And the Devas approached the Supreme Lord through him. When one approaches the Supreme Lord to surrender through his representative, the Supreme Lord becomes brilliant and immediately satisfied. And in that satisfaction, he immediately protects the devotee. So, this is very nice. And Supreme Lord likes to exhibit that opulence. He likes to, and here you can see, Lord Vishnu, he bears in his hands a conch, discus, mace, and dressed in yellow cloth, he appears. In one sense, Krishna is flaunting his opulence. He's showing, I can protect you. See my opulence. And in this way, he gives confidence to the Devas. He gives confidence to the demigods. So when a devotee surrenders through a representative of the Supreme Lord, immediately Krishna offers him solace. Krishna offers him relief from the pangs of material existence. Okay, 2. At that time, the Devas headed by Brahma and Rudra surrendered unto Lord Vishnu, begging him to award them the result of killing Ravana. Vadartam vayamat ayatas tasya vai munibhi saha siddha gandharva yakshascha tatastvam sharanam gataha. We have assembled here along with the sages so that he may be killed. the Siddhas, Gandharvas, and Yakshas take shelter of you for this reason. Nothing much to explain there. Okay. 3. In the Ramayana, the sage Valmiki also describes in detail how persons such as Trishanku and Shunashepa surrendered unto persons such as Vishwamitra. He does this to point out 1. The highest duty, dharma, is to award protection to a surrendered soul. And that 2. If one surrenders unto a person who is fully capable of awarding the desired protection and who is compassionate upon the surrendered soul, such surrender will invariably lead to the desired success. Why is the story of Trishanku explained? It's actually really amazing. I never, until I read this, I never thought, why is the story of Trishanku in the Ramayana? What has it got to do with the Supreme Lord Ramachandra? We would not know this unless the Vaishnava Acharyas reveal this to us. And the reason is, this Trishanku, who is this Trishanku? Okay, so we'll read Vidwan Gauranga Prabhu's commentary and then read through this. Okay, Trishanku was a king in the line of Ikshvaku who had wanted to go to Swarga in his own body through certain Vedic procedures. Though he was cursed by Vasishta's sons to attain the status of one who is born as a Chandala, he surrendered unto Vishwamitra, who was capable of fulfilling his desire and who became compassionate upon him. Vishwamitra fulfilled his desire even at the risk of inconveniencing the demigods. Shunashepa was Vishwamitra's nephew. He had been sold off by his parents to a king as a man animal to be sacrificed by that king. By providence, Shunashepa happened to meet Vishwamitra and surrendered unto him, knowing him to be capable of fulfilling his desire to be alive and not be sacrificed by that king. Vishwamitra became compassionate upon him and taught him 2 mantras to be chanted. Shunashepa did so and was set free and alive by the intervention of Indra, who was pleased upon chanting of those 2 mantras. Both these histories are found in Canto 1 of the Ramayana. The history of Trishanku is found in chapters 57 to 60, and the history of Shunashepa is found in chapters 61 to 62. The history of Shunashepa is not found in this abridged version of the Ramayana. Is there any further information apart from what I read that you can gather?
There's 2 stories. The one that you're reading is the instance that's recorded in the Puranas and Itihasas, I guess, where Ambarish Maharaj was performing a sacrifice and he needed a human sacrifice. But there's one in the Upanishads, or in the Rig Veda.
Both are related to Vishwamitra?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
In the Rig Veda, it was King Harishchandra, one of the forefathers of Lord Ramachandra, who was.
Yeah, but isn't Harishchandra different to Shunashepa?
So Harishchandra was performing a sacrifice. He made a deal with Varuna to get a son, and then Varuna said, okay, now I give you a son, now I want him in a sacrifice, and then he didn't want to do it. So then they found this Shunashepa. They found this Shunashepa's father who agreed to offer his son in sacrifice, and then right when he was about to get killed in the sacrifice, Vishwamitra kind of saves him. Yeah. And then an interesting thing is that Vishwamitra had 50 sons who were older than Shunashepa and 50 sons who were younger. The 50 sons who were older didn't accept him as their new brother. So Vishwamitra kind of adopted him. The ones that were older didn't accept him, and then Vishwamitra cursed them that their descendants will become the Andhras, Pulindas,
Pulkashas.
Et cetera, et cetera.
I see.
But,
I see.
I thought those 50 were
Okay.
the 100 sons.
Okay, so what is Trishanku? Right? So just to recap that. So what happens? Trishanku gets cursed to become a Chandala by Vasishta's sons. Who is Vasishta? Trishanku's spiritual master. Trishanku's guru, Kula Guru is Vasishta, and Vasishta's sons cursed Trishanku to become a Chandala. There's a story about that, but I'm not going to get into that. So what happens? When Trishanku's ministers witnessed this transformation, they immediately abandoned him as untouchable. Having become a Chandala, bereft of his former position, Trishanku went to see Vishwamitra who was engaged in performing austerities. Vishwamitra welcomed Trishanku with compassion, hearing from him how he had been cursed by the sons of Vashishta. When Trishanku begged Vishwamitra for help, the rishi assured him of shelter and promised him to provide him with priests that would assist him in the performance of his sacrifice. And what was that sacrifice? Vishwamitra wanted to go up to the heavenly planet in the self-same body. Trishanku was previously very beautiful, and then he was cursed to get this Chandala body, but he, even after getting that Chandala body, he was determined that I want to go in the self-same body to the heavenly planets. And he can't go as a Chandala to the heavenly planets. I mean, he can't go in a human body. What to speak a Chandala? So, anyways, what happens is, Vishwamitra agrees to perform the sacrifice. He calls for all the Brahmanas, and Vasishta's sons don't come. And then there's another rishi that also doesn't come. Vishwamitra curses all of them. And then Vishwamitra then requested the Brahmanas present to perform Trishanku's sacrifice. Simply out of fear of being cursed, they complied and started the sacrifice. When Vishwamitra invited the demigods to attend and accept their share of the offerings, they desisted. This made Vishwamitra very angry, and he declared to Trishanku that he would elevate him to heaven by his own prowess. Indeed, as soon as Vishwamitra made this vow, Trishanku began rising to the heaven in the self-same body. When King Indra saw Trishanku approaching heaven without having earned sufficient pious merit and having disobeyed his guru Vasishta, Indra forced Trishanku to fall head first back toward the earth. While thus falling, Trishanku called out helplessly to Vishwamitra to rescue him. Vishwamitra not only stopped Trishanku's fall, but also created a replica planetary system, complete with imitation demigods, for Trishanku to reside in. The demigods, however, were outraged by this wonderful feat. Approaching Vishwamitra, they said, "Give up your efforts to help Trishanku. He lacks the necessary qualifications for residing in the heavenly planets." Vishwamitra, however, insisted on keeping his promise. He declared, "I will never go back on my promise to send Trishanku to the heavenly planets without a change of body. Therefore, let it be ordained that my newly created heaven be accepted by you and remain for the duration of the universe." In the end, the demigods relented, and thus Trishanku remained head downwards in space. By the mercy of Vishwamitra, he enjoys heavenly bliss while shining brightly among the stars. So, what is the story here? It looks like, what does this have to do with Lord Ram? But Acharyas explain that you see here, if you look at this, what does Govindaraja say? He does this to point out that the highest dharma is to award protection to the surrendered soul. Okay? Now, surrendered soul has come. The highest dharma is to offer protection to him. Two, if one surrenders unto a person who is fully capable of awarding the desired protection and who is compassionate upon the surrendered soul, such surrender will invariably lead to the desired success. And Trishanku wanted something that was completely contrary to the norm of Vedic rules and the way pious activities work and the qualifications to enter the heavenly planets. Still, when he surrendered unto Vishwamitra, being capable of fulfilling such a desire, protected him from Indra and the other demigods who had become more or less his enemies, and also fulfilled his desire in a most inconceivable way. What does this mean? And same thing with Shunashepa. He adopts him as his son. It's a kind of really amazing story. What does this mean? If an ordinary rishi, well, he's not an ordinary rishi, but still ordinary compared to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, can offer such protection and offer such amazing results, what to speak of the Supreme Personality of Godhead? And from this you understand the quality of surrender. That the quality of surrender is this, that surrender is such an amazing thing that even if one has a desire to attain something that one is completely unqualified for, if one can evoke the mercy of the object of surrender, and that object of surrender is capable of fulfilling one's desire, even if one is unqualified, the desire will be fulfilled. Amazing story. What has this got to do with us? We are all unqualified for Krishna Prema. Wow, that's not news. We are unqualified to attain these things. We are not qualified to perform devotional service. We are not qualified to perform anything in Krishna consciousness. What to speak of the most glorious Sankirtan Yajna, which is engaged in by Lord Chaitanya and his associates, who are none other than Lord Krishna and his own associates. This Sankirtan, this, this Golokera Prema Dhan is coming down as the holy name of the Supreme Lord. And that Prema Dhan is the wealth. It is the wealth, it is the property, it is the right of the residents of Vrindavan. It is not ours. And we don't have the qualification to approach it. But, so if we have to consider our qualification, what is that? Jogyata vichare kichu nahi pai, tomara karuna sar. Karuna na hoile khandiya pranana rakibo ar. And we'll see that pranana rakibo, you'll see this another. It's just like, I was reading, I was just like, it was really amazing to see this. And I never understood. I just realized it's a very interesting story of Vishwamitra and Trishanku. I would never connect it with surrender if our acharyas didn't reveal this to us. It's amazing. So this is the point, that even though Trishanku is a Chandala, he's very unqualified. He surrendered unto Vishwamitra. Vishwamitra was determined. Even the demigods come and say, just give it up, give up this efforts. Vishwamitra, no, I will never go back on my promise. So that is Vishwamitra, Brahma Rishi. What to speak of Supreme Personality of Godhead? What can he not do? If Supreme Personality of Godhead thinks, here is a surrendered soul, I am going to award the fulfillment of his desire. And if our desire is to attain him, when we approach through the bona fide spiritual master, Krishna gives himself to us, even though we're fully unqualified. But this is the nature of surrender, is something so amazing. And therefore one should take up the process of surrender. Okay, 4. Sri Valmiki also points out that while surrendering unto the Supreme Lord, one must first submit to his consort, who mediates between the surrendered soul and the Lord and pleads for his mercy upon the surrendered soul. So Bhratus Charano Ghadam Nipidya Raghunandanaha Sitam Uvachati Yasha Raghavam cha Mahavratam. Holding his brother's feet tightly, the greatly famous Lakshmana, the beloved descendant of Raghu, spoke to Sita and Raghava of great resolve. So, this is very famous. This is the mood of the Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya. This also happens to be our mood as well. That we cannot approach the Supreme Lord by himself. We have to approach him through his consort. His consort is more merciful than Krishna himself. That Lakshmi Devi is more merciful than Sriman Narayana. Sita Devi is more merciful than Lord Ramachandra. Radharani is more merciful than Krishna. And therefore, we actually aspire to assist the servant of the servant of the servant of the servant of Srimati Radharani to serve the master of the gopis, Krishna. This is our mood. And when one approaches like this, Acharyas explain that Sita becoming the consort of the Supreme Lord, becoming very merciful upon the conditioned soul, mediates between, because Supreme Lord, he might pose some arguments, and Sri Vaishnavas have whole conversations about this, like about Lakshmi and Narayana, having entire conversations. Now, why will I accept this surrendered soul? Look at what all he has done. Rascal number one. See this. But then Lakshmi Devi, she says, no. But just see, he's coming and falling at your feet. If you don't protect him, what will happen to your vow? You have promised that anybody who falls at your lotus feet will protect you. Then what will happen to that vow? You must fulfill his desire. So in this way, Lakshmi Devi, the consort of the Supreme Lord, she put, and Acharyas explain that even though we serve in the Acharyas, anyways, it's getting a little esoteric, but Even though the aspiration of our acharyas is to serve in the mood of the manjaris and to remain very much in the background, and render humble service by assisting the gopis, specifically Srimati Radharani, because ultimately all the gopis assist Srimati Radharani in her loving affairs with Krishna. Still, Radharani becomes so happy with the service that a manjari does that she pushes that manjari forward. She pushes forward and brings that manjari in front of Lord Krishna. And this is this is some of the highest levels of bliss and ecstasy that our acharyas describe and experience. But the point is, the principle is still the same, that in the process of surrender, one also has to get the recommendation. You have to get recommendation from whom? From the consort. You have to get recommendation, because without her you cannot go. You cannot approach Krishna. You can't go. And why is that also so? Because Lord Chaitanya explains. Lord Chaitanya came to teach us devotional service in the mood of Srimati Radharani. Why Srimati Radharani? Because she is most expert. She knows how to please Krishna. Only she knows, in fact, how to please Krishna. And therefore, by following in her footsteps, one will be able to please Krishna. Otherwise, one will not know how to please. So this is the proper mood, proper attitude. You'll see this more as we go further on. You will see that Lakshmana in the Ramayana, he always holds Sita Devi in high regard. Extremely high regard. Okay, 5. Bharata surrendered unto Rama, desiring the result of Rama's coronation as the king of Ayodhya. Indeed, he even said, Sheshye putrasta chalaya yavan na prati yasyati. I will sleep in front of a hut here until Rama returns to Ayodhya and becomes its ruler. Okay. What happens here? So I'll read this also actually. But it appears that Ramachandra, was there a... Oh, okay, sorry. But it appears that Ramachandra did not fulfill Bharata's desire, though he surrendered unto him. Why is that? In this situation, Rama had come out of Ayodhya to grant the result of the Devas' surrender unto him when they had beseeched him to kill Ravana. Therefore, Lord Rama gave Bharata his sandals, Paduka, as his representative, as the ruler of Ayodhya, thus making his surrender unto him fruitful. And after fulfilling the cherished desires of the Devas, he returned to Ayodhya and coronated himself as its ruler. Therefore, one cannot object that surrender unto him can be fruitless. So, Bharata surrenders to Lord Ram, says, you have to come back to Ayodhya. And in this regard, I wanted to read a little bit of that section also. Okay. So, Bharata has come with his entire army, with the 3 mothers, Kaikeyi, Sumitra, and Kaushalya. And also with Vashishta and all the ministers and several other sages. So they had all come to beg Lord Rama to return back to Ayodhya. So now they are in, where are they in? Where is this happening? No. Where did Bharata meet Lord Rama? Come on. No. He went to Dandakaranya after this. The ashram. That's a good answer. Huh? No. You're saying everything except one place. No, bro. This is not even happening there. It's like way past that. It's one of the most famous locations in the Chitrakoot. Chitrakoot. No, there's Panchavati also. He didn't say that. So Chitrakoot. Okay. So Chitrakoot is where Bharata comes to meet. So anyways, what happens is even Vasishta tries to step in and tries to implore Lord Rama to return to Ayodhya. But Rama is not willing. So here, Rama, however, remained adamant while insisting that one's duty to his parents is inviolable. When Bharata realized that his attempt to persuade Rama was futile, he became so sad that he ordered Sumantra, "Spread kusha grass in front of the doorway of Rama's cottage. I will sit there blindfolded, foregoing all food and drink until Rama relents and accepts the royal throne." Sumantra, however, would not act without Rama's order. Thus, Bharata spread the kusha grass with his own hands and sat down in front of Rama's cottage. Rama then said, "Dear brother, why are you adopting this attitude? Why are you stubbornly trying to oppose me?" Thus addressed, Bharata gave up the idea of fasting until death, but continued pleading, "Let me act as your proxy by staying here in the forest for 14 years while you return to Ayodhya." Just then, a host of celestial rishis appeared invisibly in the sky and applauded the wonderful conversation between the two brothers. Then, desiring to accelerate the death of Ravana, the rishi said, "O Bharata, you should follow the advice of your elder brother Rama." So Bharata was not willing to go back. But then the Devas, they said, "Listen, we have to kill this Ravana has to be killed. So you listen to your brother Rama and you go back to your kingdom." So Bharata accepts. Now people, as it said over here, now people can object that, well, this means that surrendering to Lord Rama doesn't fulfill your desire because Bharata couldn't fulfill his desire. So for that, Acharyas explained that no, Lord Rama gave his lotus feet. He gave his the padukas of his lotus feet, the shoes of his lotus feet. Finally, surrendering to the inevitable, Bharata produced a pair of wooden sandals inlaid with gold. Seems Bharata already came prepared. He then requested Rama to place his lotus feet on them. Rama did as his brother asked, and then returned the sandals to Bharata. Then with the sandals in hand, Bharata bowed to Rama, saying, After relegating the burden of ruling the kingdom to these sandals, I will remain outside Ayodhya, wearing matted hair and clothing of tree bark. O Rama, I shall subsist upon only fruit and roots while awaiting your return. If, however, after 14 years you do not come back to Ayodhya, then I shall give up my life by entering fire." So, here you see that the Supreme Lord, when he is very affectionate to his devotee, Supreme Lord and his representative can sometimes negotiate the desire of the living entity in the process of surrender. No, this desire is not very good. Give up that desire. Let's do it like this. Let's do it like that. So, when one is surrendered unto a bona fide spiritual master, the spiritual master also acts in such a way. The spiritual master wants to encourage the devotee to perform the process of surrender, to perform service, yet if the devotee has unrealistic ideas or ideas that are not pleasing to the Supreme Lord or might go against the Supreme Lord's desire. Here Bharata wanted Lord Rama to come back to Ayodhya, but Lord Rama has come down to kill Ravana. If Lord Rama went back to Ayodhya, then how will Ravana be killed? So here Supreme Lord has a particular desire. And what happens, for the sincere devotee, the spiritual master who is representative of the Supreme Lord, who is Sakshat Hari, negotiates with the disciple, although the disciple actually is not only unqualified, he is also helpless, he is incapable of fulfilling his desire by himself. Still, just because the disciple is performing the act of surrender, the spiritual master gives him so much importance and negotiates with him. He doesn't just slam him on the head and say, "Shut up and do what I'm telling you to do." Rather, the spiritual master shows love and affection to the disciple. And the Supreme Lord does the same thing also. He shows love and affection to his devotee. And through the process of surrender, reforms that desire. And how does he reform that desire? He doesn't reform the desire in a manner that he completely neglects the desire of that particular devotee. No. Supreme Lord will fulfill the desire of the devotee, but he will fulfill it in a manner that aligns with his purpose. This is the beauty of surrender. This is amazing process of surrender. He won't fulfill. You can be adamant. I want this now. I want it like this. This is how I want it. This is where I want it. This is with whom I want it. That might not happen that way. But Supreme Lord will refine. He'll fine-tune. Spiritual master. It's possible with a sincere disciple. It's possible. No, not now. Not now. We'll do it, in some time. So many examples, we can think in our personal life, But this is beauty of surrender. So now, Lord Rama has brought Bharata to process. See, the invisible demigods appeared. Who are these demigods? They are representative of Lord Rama. They are his servants. Lord Rama makes them appear and convinces Bharata. Okay, now listen. Listen to your brother. So sometimes, Krishna and Guru employ different techniques to convince us to come to the point that we are supposed to come to. Now, at the same time, Krishna doesn't neglect the desire of the devotee. Here devotee is saying, okay, hold off this long. But beyond this, I cannot do. So the devotee is also frank with some of his limitations. And when the devotee is frank with his limitations, to Guru and to Krishna, Guru and Krishna, if they see that it is a genuine thing, they accept it. And they say, okay, we'll take care of that. How they'll take care? They can take care of anything. Lord Chaitanya can do anything, as we were listening, Shivaram Maharaj saying that in that video. What can Lord Chaitanya not do? Krishna can do anything. So okay, fine. How will you fulfill my desire with those limitations? That's not your problem, that's my problem. That's how Krishna thinks. So, Lord Rama sanctioned this statement. Now Lord Rama has sanctioned it. And then embraced Bharata and Shatrughna, assuring them that he would return after their term of his exile had expired. With tears in his eyes, Rama bade farewell to his brothers and urged them not to neglect or hate Kaikeyi. Rama then spoke sweet words to his mother, although they were too upset to reply. Bharata then circumambulated Rama, and then at last, while imploring everyone to leave for Ayodhya, Rama turned his back and entered the cottage. Placing Rama's sandals upon his head, Bharata mounted his chariot. Along with Shatrughna, they set out, keeping the Brahmanas in front. When they arrived at the ashram of Bharadwaja, the sage inquired whether Bharata had seen Rama and if he had accomplished his mission. Bharata replied that Rama was determined to observe his term of exile. Vashishta brought forth Rama's wooden sandals and requested Bharadwaja to empower them with the potency to fulfill the needs of all the people of Ayodhya. This was ceremoniously done by Bharadwaja, and thereafter Bharata clasped the Rishi's feet and took permission to depart. So now Lord Rama is the emperor, but how is he going to fulfill all the desires? Lord Rama's the sandals that were placed on his lotus feet are so powerful to take care of all the needs. So what can we see here? Even though Lord Rama and Bharata negotiated, Rama is making sure that all of Bharata's needs are taken care. Because now he has sanctioned. This process of surrender is not that I will just fulfill your desire. Everything in between, all your needs, everything will be taken care. Lord Rama takes care of all the desires. This is surrender. Returning by the same path he previously followed, Bharata finally arrived at the outskirts of Ayodhya. When he saw the city's desolate appearance, he said to Sumantra, "Without Rama, Ayodhya has no life. Just as the material body remains inert as soon as the living force passes out of it. Upon entering Dasharatha's palace, Bharata broke down and cried, seeing its desolate appearance. Bharata then announced that he would retire to Nandigrama to live as an ascetic. As the ministers praised his noble determination, Bharata called for his chariot and departed with Shatrughna. Out of spontaneous affection, all of Ayodhya's citizens followed Bharata to Nandigrama, a village just outside Ayodhya. Upon his arrival, Bharata first ordered his ministers to install Rama's shoes upon a royal throne. Thereafter, remaining at Nandigrama with his army, Bharata submitted the state's affairs before Rama's shoes, including all the gifts presented to him. Bharata would often be seen holding the royal umbrella over Rama's shoes or fanning them with a chamara. In this way, he ruled the kingdom for 14 years, always feeling subordinate to Lord Rama, who remained there in the form of his shoes. So, Bharata's surrender was not futile. It was fully successful. So, that explains that. Okay. This will be the last point I'll cover, and then I'll open it up for questions. 6. At Dandakaranya, the residents of that forest surrendered unto Rama to destroy the evil opponents to their spiritual practices by praying to him thus: Te vayam bhavata rakshya bhavad vishaya vasinaha nagarastho vanastho va tvamno raja janeshwaraha. We reside in your territory, therefore you should protect us. Whether you reside in the city or the forest, you are our king and ruler. From this, it is clear that residing in the territory of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, like the residents of Koshala, is itself surrender unto him. So, Supreme Lord is so happy, he is so merciful, that anybody who resides within his territory is considered to be surrendered. And Supreme Lord takes care of all their needs. Just so, right in the next paragraph, here it's mentioned. Meanwhile, Rama noticed that there was anxiety within the minds of the rishis living in the vicinity of Chitrakuta mountain. Feeling that he might be the cause, Rama humbly approached the chief rishi and said, I can see that something is disturbing the minds of the rishis living here. Please tell me why, if you can, especially if I am at fault. So here the rishis did not approach Lord Rama. Rama approaches the rishis. Why? Because they are in the vicinity. They are in the territory of Lord Rama. And therefore, Lord Rama considers that they have surrendered, and therefore he approaches them. He doesn't wait for the rishis to approach him. The old rishi replied, My dear Rama, there could never be any fault on your part. Our fear is caused by the Rakshasas headed by Kara, the younger brother of Ravana. Being envious in nature, Kara and the other Rakshasas come before us in hideous forms and disrupt our sacrifices and pollute our bodies with impure substances. We shall move to another area before the Rakshasas resort to violence. I plan to take my disciples to the ashram of Ashwamuni, not far from here. If you like, you may also accompany me and take up residence there. Rama gave the rishi permission to depart, but informed that he would remain in Chitrakoot. Later on, however, Rama felt uncomfortable about staying there, since the memory of Bharata and his mothers haunted him. Rama also felt that the area had become contaminated by the stool of the horses and elephants of Bharata's army. Thus, he finally made his mind to go elsewhere. So, the point is that just residing in the territory of Lord Rama approaches the residents of his territory and seeks to solve their problems, seeks to protect them. And Vidwan Gauranga Prabhu comments, this refers to residing in a place where the Lord eternally resides through an eternal deity form of his, etc. Some places like Ayodhya and Vrindavan are saturated by the Lord's pastimes. Some places are eternally sacred because they are abodes of the Lord on earth, like Badrinath. The Lord's personal presence there is the determining factor. Not that because he is present in the form of Paramatma everywhere, it is all right to reside anywhere. To reside in the Lord's own abode is one of the top 5 items out of the 64 items of devotional service, even according to Srila Rupa Goswami in his Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. See Nectar of Devotion, chapter 13, titled 5 Potent Forms of Devotional Service. So, as we can see from practical experience, just to reside in a temple where there are the bona fide devotees of the Supreme Lord is surrender to the Supreme Lord. Just to reside in a temple is surrender. And just by residing in such a temple, all of one's needs will be taken care. Krishna protects that devotee. This is surrender. Just to reside in holy place or places that have been made holy by the presence of great Vaishnavas, by the presence of the pure followers of the Supreme Lord who are worshipping the Supreme Lord appears there in the form of his deity. He is present there. And because he is present, everybody who is present there, they will be taken care. Supreme Lord doesn't wait for them to approach him with their needs. He takes care. Or he sends his representatives to talk to them. We see this. This is what is happening. Supreme Lord it's not like we recognize all our problems and we go to the Supreme Lord. We are so clueless. We don't know even so many of our problems. But Guru and his representatives, who are all part of Krishna's entourage, They are, our acharyas are like, what is that? Iha hoite, no, iha hoite Paramahamsa Gaurangera Nija Bhamsa. Ihara Paramahamsa Gaurangera Nija Bhamsa. Tandera Charane Mama Gati. So Gaurangera Nija Bhamsa, they are part of Gauranga's eternal family. They're part of his family. Our acharyas are not normal people. So Supreme Lord and his representatives, they approach the conditioned living entities. What to speak, who are outside the temple, they approach them, inviting them to devotional service. What to speak of those who are residing in their territory? So it's again a very amazing point. I felt it was quite ecstatic to read that. That Supreme Lord, when just by residing, and Govinda Raja says, it is clear that residing in the territory of the Supreme Lord, like the residents of Koshala, is itself surrender unto him. And one who actually surrenders to the Supreme Lord will ultimately stay in such a place. Because how can you? So one who surrendered stays in such a place, and staying in such a place is called surrender. So I'll stop there. There's so much to go over more. But any questions or comments? Also, Prabhu. There's more than one?
Turn that one on.
We got four live streams going on simultaneously.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, 4 with 2 cameras.
Yeah. I thought the technology is improved.
Oh, man.
What happened? Big mic, no sound.
Big mic, big mic.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah. So, how is it that these commentators think of Rama to be an ordinary person when there's so many things which he did a clearly extraordinary? I mean, how can one person defeat, Kara?
It's moved already.
What's moved?
Don't worry about it. Yeah.
How can, someone
It
like...
moved again.
What is it?
Here, you can't chase it. Just give up.
Hare Krishna.
You have to surrender.
Hare Krishna. Okay. So, how can they consider it?
Just plug that thing out.
This?
And now this is getting disturbed.
This.
Just plug it. Yeah, just plug that out. No, you plugged the wrong thing out. Can
This?
somebody help him? Yeah. Okay, good.
Hare Krishna.
That's it.
Okay. So, how do they look at Rama as an ordinary person when he alone killed Kara with 14,000 demons by himself? I mean, which ordinary person does that? I mean, it doesn't even make from a logical point of view. Like, no demigod does that. No one does that. Who does that?
And there are some stories in the Puranas where demigods are said to have done some things, and amazing things and things like that. I mean, look, Vishwamitra Muni creates imitation demigods and creates an entire heavenly planet. He's just a human being. The mystic powers can give that kind of, that kind of ability. Although these things are cited as examples for the Supreme, for him being the Supreme Lord, and it is one of his opulences, no doubt. Ultimately, a person can understand that Lord Rama is the Supreme Personality of Godhead only by accepting the version of Shastra. But when they don't accept that version of Shastra, meaning that they just skip over all these sections, then it just makes it all mundane. And another reason why it makes it easier in one sense to do it with the Ramayana is because how suggestive the Ramayana is with its teachings. You know,
So
they
they're
do
like-
that with Krishna in Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says it
Yeah.
so directly. They do it with Krishna in Bhagavad Gita. They do it with such a direct text as Bhagavad Gita. What to speak of a suggestive text as Ramayana?
So they're like empowered by, Maya to be amazing speculators.
Yeah, pretty much.
And and another person who the Sri Vaishnavas also really worship a lot is Shatrughna also. Because in this whole exile of Lord Rama, well, Bharata is, he's serving, Bharata just like Lakshmana is serving,
Yeah.
Lakshmana is serving Rama, but it's harder here, because no matter what could be done, it's quite a possibility that the residents still thought that no, he actually plotted for Rama to go. Like that whole, because when Rama was banished, we see that many people thought that, oh, this was their plan all along.
Right.
And so much.
Was that feeling still there after he tried to get Rama
I
back?
didn't read that. But still the Sri Vaishnavas worship Shatrughna. That, just, because
That he never lost faith.
he never lost faith.
That's true.
And, he also, Bharata was living more like austerely than Rama.
True.
He was living more austere. And like Shatrughna being his servant was even more, like, he really went
That's a good point.
went through the whole thing. Shatrughna, just imagine, my God, the amount of, like there's no solace on any side. Like Bharata is just completely, and then like Rama is elsewhere, and then like this whole situation, and like, Bharata's own mother did this, to banish. It's like a big thing, but
Yeah.
Shatrughna surrenders. So much surrender, to Bharata. That's always found that very inspiring.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to put up one verse here, if possible. This is, of course, written by a great devotee of Lord Rama, Kulashekar Alvar. And in this verse, there's this really amazing thing. Yeah. Anyway, just to save time, I just want to read the last line of the Drishte yatra satarako vijayate Shri pada dhuli kanaha. Then, once our Savior has been seen, the whole earth becomes no greater than a speck of dust. All the waters of the ocean become mere droplets. The totality of fire becomes a minute spark. The winds become just a faint sigh. The expanse of space becomes a tiny hole. Great lords like Rudra and Grandfather Brahma become insignificant. And all the demigods become like small insects. Indeed, even one particle of dust from our Lord's feet conquers all.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking that the padukas of Rama, that he empowers them to fulfill all the desires.
Yeah,
So
it's
even
quite
one,
amazing.
Drishte yatta satarako vijayate Shri pada dhuli kanaha. It's so beautiful. Anyway, thank you for that class.
Kalki Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. I just had some questions just with the pastime with Trishanku and Vishwamrita. So kind of like my initial understanding of that pastime was that Vishwamrita accepted Trishanku in the kind of like just because he was rejected by Vashishta.
Correct.
Like some anger.
Correct.
Okay. So then, so that's there too. That like that. The Acharyas bring out the whole aspect of like he surrendered onto him and everything, but then also there's like that element that
Correct.
he's fried out to Vashishta.
Correct.
So then, kind of like, how do we understand that also? Like he accepts someone as surrender, like it seems like in spite of like Vashishta.
However they accepted, the point is he's accepted.
Yeah.
That's the point. The story of Trishanku is to show that once accepted, what is the benefit.
Okay.
Now, of course, how a person is accepted depends on the quality and nature of the object of surrender. And if the object of surrender is Krishna and his pure devotees, then that process of surrender will be done on their terms, not on the terms like out of anger or something. But here the point is, the very aspect of surrender and the power of surrender in itself is glorified. Sometimes you will find this in Shastra. You will find in Shastra, for instance, just stories talking just about chastity. Just chastity. What are the powers of chastity of women? What can it do? Or in the story of Harishchandra, just story about truthfulness. Truthfulness and nothing but truthfulness. What is the power of truthfulness? Now, Acharyas explain that these things are explained, and the way these are rightly understood is that they are all aspects of devotional service. Being truthful, being chaste, being humble. Shastra may independently glorify just the aspect of being humble. Now, those who are envious of devotional service, they will just take that aspect of being humble or being truthful or something like this and just try to live a materialistic life with that. But devotees understand that if just truthfulness is so great, if just humility is so great, if just surrender is so great, how great must be devotional service, which exhibits all these qualities as mere opulences. And that devotional service itself is completely independent of these qualities, meaning that devotional service bestows these qualities upon a practitioner, but devotional service itself is higher and greater than all of these combined. Even all of these combined, it is not equal devotional service. It is so great because it pleases the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And therefore, in this regard, if just our surrender is so great, how much it be if that surrender is performed to the Supreme Personality of Godhead? That is the import. Is that understood?
Yeah.
Vishwamitra Muni is also pure devotee of Rama.
Yeah. But
And we can also see that even when Mayadana was escaping from the Pandava forest, Krishna wants to kill him. But when he surrenders to Arjuna, Krishna is like, all right.
yeah.
Like, it may be like different reasons why, but
The aspect of surrender is not only to the Supreme Lord. The thing is, kings also had the same thing. When you surrender unto the king will protect you if he's a real Kshatriya. So, but here, specifically, so anyways, Mitravan's flight just landed.
here we go.
But the point here is that once that surrender is done, what qualities does it have? And independently, these things are analyzed. Just like our acharyas analyze, the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, so many different emotions are analyzed. These emotions, they can be explained independent, and people talk about all these things and write poems and things like that, but we analyze these things in relation to Krishna. So here, surrender, the quality of surrender is analyzed, but it is analyzed in relation to the Supreme Lord. And that's why these stories are presented in the Ramayana. It's that story is not there to put Vishwamitra in bad light. There is a lesson that Vishwamitra, he's making, a couple of, things, and he's getting diverted from achieving his goal because he's getting sidetracked by all these things. And that he's gradually giving up his nature of a Kshatriya and becoming a Brahmana and then to a Brahma Rishi. This is what you see in that transition. And you see, okay, how did that transition happen? But our acharyas churned so many things from just one particular pastime. And this is what they churn out of the aspect of surrender of Trishanku to Vishwamitra. Anything else? Abhimanyu Sutta.
Bro, you made this point. You made this point about how the Supreme Lord and his representatives, they become obliged to negotiating with surrendered souls, the souls that surrender.
They feel obliged.
They feel obliged.
They don't really
They're
become
not
obliged, but they feel obliged.
They feel obliged. Yeah. And you coming up in Krishna consciousness, generally you're taught that when you surrender on specifically a spiritual master, that there's really no question of really like negotiating, but I remember we were in India and Gokul Chandra Prabhu, it made me think of the story that Gokul Chandra Prabhu spoke about how Guru Maharaj, he had these back problems. and he was struggling to record classes, and so for a period of time, Guru Maharaj was instructing Gokul Chanda Prabhu to basically tie him up on like a column or something, in such a way that he could sit up straight and record the class. And he did it a few times, but then Gokul Chanda Prabhu eventually said, "I'm not doing it again. Like, you can't make me do this. Like, I can't, And so
I didn't know. He must have told you all this when I was not there. So
yeah, no, he told us when he
I
showed
didn't
us
know the story.
He told us when he showed us the deity for that. When you weren't there, he showed us the deity.
But I
And-
saw the deity.
okay.
He showed me that. Yeah.
But I thought about that, and it seems like there's some sort of like qualification to like. I mean, like, is it like not everyone can just like negotiate with the spiritual
No.
master? Like, what basis is that like that negotiation on? Like, and what gives someone the qualification to do that?
Then the principle is the sincere desire to serve the Guru, and Krishna. Here Bharata really wanted to serve Lord Rama, and Rama saw that devotion in him. And that's why I said sincere devotee. It takes a sincere devotee. There has to be a genuine desire to serve, and also humility. And you see, Bharata was, there is rasa in that. And as you can see, Bharata, he's okay, you won't fulfill, I'm going to fast. But then Rama comes, why are you trying to stubbornly, why are you stubbornly trying to disobey me? Then he gives up fasting immediately. He's not attached to showing his ego. It's not like, I decided to fast, I'm going to fast, and if you don't fulfill it, I don't care. You are full. It's not like that. It's not done out of ego. It's when a devotee is very eager to serve Guru and Krishna, sometimes that great eagerness causes great anxiety, causes great, sometimes it causes some confusion in their mind. And in that confusion, sometimes they're saying one thing and then they suddenly flip and say another thing. But it's not completely necessary that they are mental in that regard. But that's where, it's like, okay, that's where, they talk to Guru, he's like, okay, no, this is not going to work, this is going to work, we'll do it like this, like that. It kind of works that way. So you see, like, Bharata, he wanted to fast, but Lord Rama, tells him, and he immediately gives up fasting. But then Bharata is like, but what's the point? How can I go back to Ayodhya? What is this? He's like, and then finally, he agrees. So.
And we can even see this in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Gadadhar Pandit.
Yeah.
He wants to give up his Kshetra sannyas and follow Lord Chaitanya.
He wants to give a Gopinath also.
Gopinath,
the deity
everything.
also.
Give
He
up.
says, oh, to hell with it. He actually uses that word.
No, he does.
He says, to hell with my Kshetra sannyas and deity
What's
worship.
that? Yeah, that's all.
He says, reject deity worship also. Forget it.
Yeah, he does that. And he follows Lord Chaitanya all the way. I'm not following, I'm not coming with you. I'm just going somewhere and you happen to be there. But then after everything is unlocked, are you satisfied? Have you broken your vows? I'm not satisfied with this. I want you to stay. Then he leaves and Gadadhar Pandit faints.
Yeah, he faints.
But he still fulfills Gadadhar Pandit's desires. And I was also thinking, not to embarrass you, but it could be pretty embarrassing, that, you
Then
yourself.
don't say it.
It's okay. I'm pretty shameless. So,
Oh, I'm not.
it's okay. It's the aspect of surrender is to negotiate here.
Become shameless.
So you can negotiate. So even you didn't want to. You wanted to come to America so bad, to preach, of course, And Guru Maharaj was like, oh, what do you? First of all, you're Indian. You're not going to be able to come to America. How are you going to do this, and the other thing, But after some time, after some negotiation, because you're close with Maharaj, Maharaj relented and bless you to come here and bless you with all the success. So, we can see this, that the process of Sharanagati is ongoing.
There's also that example, like that anecdote, I think, of Prabhupada. I think there was a disciple who wanted to chant a bunch of rounds, really badly or something like that. And then he asked Srila Prabhupada,
Don't know the memory, right? Don't say it.
Bro, you are
I'm really bad at memory.
I can tell.
Just
You know
leave
what I'm
it.
talking
Just
I don't know
leave
what
it.
you're talking about.
Leave it at that.
Okay, we'll leave it at that.
We'll leave it at that.
Anything else? Matsya Prabhu. Oh man, 7:30.
Yes.
Oh, send that thing flying.
So generally when we talk about Sharanagati, we're referring to like surrendering to the Supreme Lord. But here, like Govindaraj gave like an example of like somebody surrendering to Vishwamitra. So like how far can like these principles of surrender apply to the spiritual master? Because like we're not always like thinking that, I mean, like, should we like apply all things in full to surrender to the spiritual master because he's like Sakshat Hari? Or is there like a limit where we're like...
Yeah, I mean, but surrendering to the spiritual master involves surrendering to Krishna, right? They're not two separate things. It's not that surrendering to... See, our acharyas say, okay, you should not surrender to anyone other than Lord Vishnu. That anyone other doesn't include the spiritual master. If it did, then we would be breaking the aspect of surrender, right? How are you dependent on spiritual master? He said you should only dependent on Lord Vishnu. So why are you depending on spiritual master? Forget the spiritual master also. Then that would become contrary to the philosophy. Therefore, what's that verse? Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. Where Krishna says the spiritual master is non-different from him. You know.
I know. He says that, like, Yadyapi Amar Guru.
Yeah, Yadyapi Amar Guru Chaitanya Tatapi Jani Hami Tanhara Prakash. That's a very good verse that says it. So, Acharya Mam Vijaniyam Nava Manyeta Karhichit Nasa Buddhya Nasa
Acharya Mam Vijaniyam Nava Manyeta Karhichit.
Nasa Buddhya Martya Suyeta Sarvadeva Mayo Guru.
That's not the third line.
That's not the
It's
third.
almost the third line. But yeah, Sarvadeva Mayo Guru.
But that's okay.
That's fine.
But anyways,
he can make it
so
fly like that.
so
Say it real fast. Say it like Nick, you know.
so the point is that Krishna says that Acharya Mam Vijaniyam, understand me to be the spiritual master, understand him to be not different from me. So otherwise the principle of surrender would be broken. So yeah, there's difference, but there's no difference. So it works like that.
Yeah, you can't have one without the other.
Anything else? Mataji's? No. Okay. Well, that's good.
7:32, not bad.
Okay. All right. Continuing tomorrow morning.
Let's do it!
Hare Krishna.
And Prabhu, if it's not over, can we have the same session continue until it's like you've gone through the whole thing?
I'll continue until it's gone through the whole thing. We'll think about it.
No. We can negotiate.
Okay. Hare Krishna.